Om Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantahe. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Mavet Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजानन महर्निशं अनेकदन्तं भक्तानां एकदन्तमुपास्महे श्री महागणपतये नमः गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः उमा कोमलहस्ताब्ज संभावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யஹம் சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா वागर्ताविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्तः प्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ श्री पार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं हनः कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं चक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्तिव्रजोऽह्यं श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി ഏതീനും അന്യനെ കുമ്പീടേണ്ടാത്തോരു പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കന്നായി കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. Let's do a quick, I think 56 and 56, 57 we had to review today. Right. Shubhatra, can you do one of the chapters? 56, and then
Yeah.
Sridevi Garu, can you do one, either 56 or 57?
I will do 56.
Okay. Should be the 56.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll do.
Sri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Dasakam 56. Kaliya Mardane Bhagavad Anugraha Varnanam. Ruchira Kampita Kundala Mandalaha Suchira Mishana Nartita Pannage Amaratadita Dundubhi Sundaram Viyati Gayati Daivata Yavate Namati Yadyada Mushya Shirohare Parivihaya Tadunnata Munnatam Parimatan Pada Pankaruha Chiram Jaharatah karatala manoharam Twadava bhagna vibhugna phanagane Galita shonita patasi Phanipata vavasi dati sannataha Tadabalastava madhava padayoho Ayipuraiva chiraya parishrutatvadanubhava vilina hrudohitaha Munibhirapya navapya pataistavaihi nunuvurisha bhavantamayandritam Panivadhu gana bhakti vilokana pravikasat karuna kula chetasa Panipathir bhavata chuta jivitaha Tvayi samarpita murtirava Ramanakam rajavaridhi madhyagam Paniripurna karoti virodhitam Iti bhavad vachananyati manayan Panipatir niragaduragai samam Panivadhu janadatta manevrajajvalitaha radukula vibhushitaha Tatagatai pramadashru vimishritaihi Samagata swajanairtivasavadhau Nishipunastamasa vrajamandiram Vrajitumakshamayeva janotkare Swapati tatra bhavaccharanashraye Davakrushanurarunda samantataha Prabudita natapalaya palayeti Udayadartaravan Pashupalakan Avitumashu papata mahanalam Kimiha chitramayang khalute mukham Sikhini varnatayeva hi pitata Parilasatya duna kriyayapyasau Iti nutaf pashupair muditair vibho Hara hare duritai saha megadan. Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Pralambasura Vadavarnama. Ramasakah kwapi dine kama. Ramasakah kwapi dine kamata. Correct solrena?
Yeah.
Okay. Kamata bhagavan gato bhavan vipinam sunu pirapi gopanam tena per abhisamvritola satveshaha sandarshayan bhalaya svairam vrindavana shriyam vimala kantirai sahapalai balaihi Bhandirakam agamo vatam giritan tavat tavakanidana spruhayalur gopamurtiradayaluhu daityai pralambanama pralambabahum bhavantamabe Janannabhyavijannivat tena samam nibadda sauhartaha vatanikete patupashubha vyabaddham dvandva yuddham arabdaha.
But then the first line, Janannapya Vijananniva.
Okay.
Okay.
Janannapya Vijananniva.
Yeah. Okay.
Gopan vibhajya danvan sangam Balabhadrakam bhavatkamapi twadbalabirum daityam त्वत्बलगतमन्वम् अन्यथा भगवन्.
And the anva manyata, you kind of say it in one word. You can't
Okay.
break it. So
மறந்து போயிடுச்சு. त्वत्बलगतमन्वत மன்வமன்யதா பகவன். அதுல இது போடல, கண்டினியூஷன் போடல, அதனால விட்டு போயிடுச்சு. சரி, இப்ப கல்பித விஜேத்ரு வஹனே சமரே பரயூதகம் ஸ்வதயிததரம் ஸ்ரீதாமானமதத்தாஹ प्राजितो भक्तदासतां प्रथयन्.
parajito. Last line. Parajito.
Okay. Parajito भक्तदासतां प्रथयन् एवं बहुषु विभूमन् बालेषु वहत्सु बाह्यमानेषु रामविजितः प्रलम्बो जहार ऐहारतं धूरतो भवत् भीत्या.
Last line jahar. You said it correct first time, then you changed it.
Jahadana ainu solite.
Jaharatam. Yeah.
Jaharatam dhurato bhavat bhitya twadhuram gamayantam tam drishtva halini vihita garim abare daitya swarupamagad yadrupat sahibalopi chakido bhut उच्युतया दैत्यधनोः वन्मुखम् आलोक्य दूरतो रामः विगतः भयो दृढमुष्ट्या पृषदुष्टं सभति पिष्टवानेनम्.
The ninth, first line, first word, uchataya.
Uchataya.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. हत्वा दानववीरं प्राप्तं बलम् आलिलिङ्गितप्रेम्णा तावन्मिलितोर्युवयो शिरसि कृता पुष्पवृष्टिरमरगणैः आलम्भो भुवनानां प्रालम्बं निधनमेवम् आरचयन् कालं विहाय सत्यो लोलं परुचे हरे 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 क्लेशान कृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः. Sorry.
No. All right, so let's get started at 58. Indicate 58, 59 also relatively small chapters. We should be able to complete it. So 58, Sri Vidya, can you be a student, and Vaidehi?
Okay, yes.
And then 59, Kalpana, you can be a student. And then Jayashree or Sriram, or actually Jayashree. Jayashree being a student,
sure, na sorry.
Okay. So the 58 is Gopanam Davagni Moksha Varnanam. So both the cows and the Gopa boys rescued from the Dava Agni, from the forest fire. Right, that's what is happening in 58. Stanza 1. Tvai viharana lole balajalehi pralambha pramathana sabilambe dhenava swairacharaha trinakutuga nivishta dura duram charantyah kimapi vipinamaishi kakyamisham bhabhuvuhu. So this is the simple, this straightforward tune. But in the first paragraph, I think the comma comes a little earlier. So anyway, Tvai viharana lole Bala Jalaihi, and then put a comma. Then Pralamba, and then you put a plus to join with the next one. Pralamba Pramathana Sabilambhe Dhenavas Swaira Charaha Trina Kutuka Nivishta Dura Duram Charantyaha, comma Kimapi Vipinam Aishi Kakyam. And the word you can't quite break it officially. So Vipinam Aishi Kakyam Isham Bhabuhu, if you want to break it from there. Or you can try to say it together. Vipinam Aishi Kakyam Isham Bhabuhu. Kind of flows together.
Rajesh, on the third line, I have Nivishtaha.
Yeah, and the Nivishtaha, some books have it. If you're pausing it there, then you have to say the Visarga. If you're not pausing it there, then gently the Visarga is not there. Okay, so you can remove that off.
Rajesh, second line, Dhenavaha on the Visarga.
Is S.
Okay.
S.
Thank you.
त्वयि विहरणलोले बालजालैः प्रलम्ब प्रमथन सविलम्बे धेनवस्वैरचाराः तृणकुतुकनिविष्टा दूरदूरं चरन्त्यः किमपि विपिनमैषी काक्यमीशां बभूवुः
त्वयि विहरणलोले बालजालैः प्रलम्ब प्रमथन सविलम्बे तेन वस्वैरचाराः तृणकुतुकनिविष्टा दूरदूरं चरन्त्यः किमपि विपिनमैषी काक्यमीशां बभूवुः बभूवुः
बभूवुः the last बभूवुः
बभूवुः त्वयि विहरणलोले बालजालैः प्रलम्ब प्रमथन सविलम्बे धेनवस्वैरचाराः तृणकुतुकनिविष्टा दूरदूरं चरन्त्यः किमपि विपिनमैषी काक्यमीशा बभूवुः
and the word again last word
बभूवुः बभूवुः
yeah
त्वयि विहरणलोले बालजालैः प्रलम्ब प्रमथन सविलम्बे धेनवस्वैरचाराः तृणकुतुकनिविष्टा दूरदूरं चरन्त्यः किमपि विपिनमैषी काक्यमीशां बभूवुः त्वयि विहरणलोले बालजालैः प्रलम्ब प्रमथन सविलम्बे धेनवस्वैरचाराः तृणकुतुकनिविष्टा दूरदूरं चरन्त्यः किमपि विपिनमैषी काक्यमीशां बभूवुः
Anadi, I mean, if you, sorry, Srividya and Vaidya, do you want to do it as 4 lines or do you want to break it into 2 lines? Because in the 4 is good because in the 2 up another tune sometimes in the 3rd and 4th you might lose it. That's why. Anadi Ghata Nidagha Kraurya Vrindavanantat, comma Bahiridam Upayataha. Is there? Put a H, ich sound, Upayatah Kananam Denavastaha Tava Viraha Vishannaha. So put a Visarga there and then put a comma there. Viraha Vishannaha, comma Ushmala Grishma Tapa, and then put a plus and then join with the 4th line. So that third and 4th line comes together. Ushmala Grishma Tapa Prasara Visaradambhasyakula. So that one, if you can't break, if you want to break it, it's Visarad Ambasyakula. It becomes like that, or you can say it together. Visaradambhasyakulaha in one word, and then remove the Visarka, put a is to join. Syakula Stambhamapuhu. Okay, so the 3rd and 4th line are together. Viraha Vishannaha, comma after in the 3rd line. Anadigata Nidaga Kraurya Vrindavanantate Bahiridamupayatah Kananam Dhenavastah Tava Viraha Vishannaha Ushmala Grishmatapa Prasara Visaradambhasyakulas Stambhamapuhu.
Rajesh, the Vrindavanata.
Change the original is B as in Victor, but on the north and the V and the B it becomes, so it becomes Brindavanam, right? It changes that, but the original version is B as in Victor, so you keep it as V.
Okay.
Anadigata Nitaga Kraurya Vrindavanantat Bahiridamupayata Kananam Denavastaha Tava Vihara Vishannaha Ushmala Grishmatapa Prasara Visara Tambasya Kulastamba Mapuhu.
And the 3rd line, Shivdya, Tava Viraha. I think you said Vihara. It's other way.
Okay.
Ra comes first.
Anadigata Nitaga Kraurya Vrindavanantat Bahiridamupayata Kananam Tenavastaha Tava Viraha Vishannaha Ushmala Grishmatapa Prasara Visara Dambasya Kulastamba Mapuhu.
Anadhikata Nidaka Kaurya Vrindavanantat
बहिरिदमुपयाताः काननं देनवस्ताः तव विरह विषण्णाः ऊष्मलग्रीष्मतापप्रसर विसरदम्बस्याकुलास्तम्भमापुः अनधिगतनिदागत कौर्यवृन्दावनान्तात् बहिरिदमुपयाताः काननं धेनवस्ताः तव विरह विषण्णाः ऊष्मलग्रीष्मताप तव विरह विषण्णाः ऊष्मलग्रीष्मतापप्रसर विसरदम्बस्याकुलास्तम्भमापुः
Rajesh, you're
Rajesh, you are on mute.
Oh, sorry, very sorry. Tadanu saha sahayair duram anvishya shaure, comma, galita sarani munjaranya sanjata khedam pashu kulam abhivikshya, if you want to break it, kshipram anetu marat, that word kshipram anetum arat, but you can say it together. Put the it at the end of the third line and a comma, arat. Next line, you will have two its in the fourth line. Remove one of the its. So, tvai gatavati he sarvatognir jajrumbhe. Sarvato agnir jajrumbhe. So, sarvatognir jajrumbhe. Tadanu sahasahahir dhuramanvishya shaure galita sarani munjaranya sanjata khedam पशुकुलम अभिवीक्ष्य क्षिप्रमाणे तुमाराते त्वयि गतवति ही सर्वतोऽग्निर्जजृम्भे
तदनु सहसहायै दूरमन्विष्य शौरे गलितसरणि मुञ्चारण्यसञ्जातखेदं पशुकुलमभिवीक्ष्य क्षिप्रमाणेतुमारात् त्वयि गतवति सर्वतोऽग्निर्जजृम्भे तदनु सहसहायै दूरमन्विष्य शौरे गलितसरणिमुञ्चारण्यसञ्जातखेदं पशुकुलमभिवीक्ष्य क्षिप्रमाणेतुमारात् त्वयि गतवति सर्वतोऽग्निर्जजृम्भे
तदनु सहसहायैर्दूरमन्विष्य शौरे गलितसरणिमुञ्जारण्यसञ्जातखेदम् पशुकुलमभिवीक्ष्य क्षिप्रमाणेतुमारात् त्वयि गतवति सर्वतोऽग्निर्जजृम्भे तदनु सहसहायैर्दूरमन्विष्य शौरे गलितसरणिमुञ्जारण्यसञ्जातखेदम् पशुकुलमभिवीक्ष्य क्षिप्रमाणेतुमारात् त्वयि गतवति सर्वतोऽग्निर्जजृम्भे.
Just a quick recap of what has happened in this chapter so far. So in the previous chapter, right, when the Pralambasura Vadam was happening, so when the boys were all playing and the Pralambasura Vadam was all happening, so the cows which were all there, so they ended up straying away, right? So they were in this forest within Vrindavanam called as Bhandirika forest. So, but the cows, because nobody was there and they started looking for greener pastures, and the cows started going further away and they reached another forest called Aisika. They reached another forest. So once they reached the forest, this was summertime, and they reached there and the heat became very intense and the cows could not find any water or anything, and then they started suffering because of the intense heat as well as of the thirst, and they become completely exhausted that they could not trace their way back. So when that happens, Krishna and the friends, they start roaming around looking for the cows, and eventually they go and find the cows there who seem completely lost and extremely tired and exhausted. And because of the summer heat, the grass had become very dry in that part of the forest, which is a separate forest outside Vrindavan, and then the fire started coming from all sides. That's what has happened so far. Sakala hariti deepte ghora bhankara bhime, and then put a plus, shikini vihata marga ardha dagda ivartaha ahaha bhuvana bandho pahi pahiti sarve, comma, sharanam upagatastvam or you can say Sharanam Upagatas Tvam. Tapa Hartaram Ekam. Hartaram Ekam. Sakala Hariti Deepte Ghora Bhankara Bhime Shikini Vihata Marga Ardha Dagda Ivarta Aha Bhuvana Bandho Pahi Pahi Ti Sarve Sharanam Upagatas Tvam Tapa Hartaram Ekam.
सकल हरिति दीप्ते घोरभाङ्कार भीमे शिखिनि विहतमार्गा अर्धदग्धा इवार्ताः अहः भुवनबन्धो पाहि पाहीति सर्वे शरणमुपगतास्त्वां तापहर्तारमेकम् सकल हरिति दीप्ते घोरभाङ्कार भीमे शिखिनि विहितमार्गा अर्धदत्ता इवार्ताः अहः भुवनबन्धो पाहि पाहीति सर्वे शरणमुपगता त्वां तापहर्तारमेकम्.
Shivit, the second line, Shikini Vihata Marga. Vihita, right? Vihata.
Vihita.
सकलहरिति दीप्ते घोरभाङ्कार भीमे शिखिनि विहतमार्गा अर्धदग्धा इवार्ताः अहः भुवनबन्धो पाहि पाहीति सर्वे शरणमुपगतास्त्वां तापहर्तारमेकम् सकलहरिति दीप्ते घोरभाङ्कार भीमे शिखिनि विहतमार्गा अर्धदग्धा इवार्ताः अहः भुवनबन्धो पाहि पाहीति सर्वे शरणमुपगतास्त्वां तापहर्तारमेकम्
Alam Ati Bhitya. If you want to pick it. Sarvato Mila Yadvam. And then put a plus again. Drisham Iti Tava Vacha Mili Taksheshu Teshu. So the first two lines are together. Qua Nu Dava Dahanosau Kutra Munjatavi Sa Sapadi Babritire Te Hanta Bhandira Deshe. So this
Is break third and fourth break
sorry, after Munjatavi Sa there is a comma.
Okay, thank you.
So the other like you were seeing in the Pralamba Sura, right, where he took Krishna away, the other way of thinking about this is the cows were all with Krishna, right? When the cows, and then when they were with Krishna, there was not a problem. And when they started looking for more material things or more sensory things for them, which is for the more greener pastures, they started wandering away. And when they wandered away, they started getting into sufferings, and Krishna now found them here. So when Krishna finds, and then the forest fire is now coming on all sides. So that's when the Vihata Marga. Marga means the ways, right? So it's all the ways are getting completely blocked because the forest fire is now beginning to approach them, and they don't know what they were going to do. And then at that point is when they're asking for help. That's why they say, oh, ahaha, oh, Bhuvana Bandho, one who is a friend of the entire world. Pahi, Pahiti, please help us, all the boys and even the cows are beginning to woo because they're all now getting very afraid. So at that time, Krishna then tells them, don't worry, don't be frightened. That's why he says again, double thing, alam, don't be frightened, don't be frightened. And he says, just close your eyes. And then when they close the eyes, and then suddenly when they open the eyes, they are now back in the Bhandira. Remember, we said they were first in the Bhandira forest within Vrindavan. So they find themselves back in the Bhandira forest. And everybody is like asking, Kutra Munjatavi, where was that Munjatavi forest where we were, where the fire was there? Because they don't see that anymore. And they're all back in the Bhandira forest from where they originally started. Okay. So, Alamalamati Bhitya Sarvato Milayadvam Drishamiti Tava Vacha Militaksheshu Teshu Kwanu Davadahanosau Kutra Munjatavi Sa Sapadi Bhavrutirete Hanta Bhandira Deshe.
अलमलमति भीत्या सर्पतो मीलयध्वं दृशमिति तव वाचा मीलिताक्षेषु तेषु क्वनु तव दहनोऽसौ कुत्र मुञ्जाटवी सा सपदि ववृत्तिरेते हन्त भाण्डीरदेशे अलमलमति भीत्या सर्पतो मीलयध्वं दृशमिति तव वाचा मिलिताक्षेषु तेषु क्वनुदवदहनोऽसौ कुत्र मुञ्जाटवीसा सपदि ववृत्तिरेते हन्त भाण्डीरदेशे
अलमलमतिभीत्या सर्वतो मीलयध्वं वृषमिति तव वाचा मालिताक्षेषु तेषु वनुदवदहनोऽसौ कुत्र मुञ्जाटवीसा सपति ववृतिरेते हन्त भाण्डीरदेशे
Vaidehi, second line, last word, Militaaksheshu.
अलमलमतिभीत्या सर्वतो मीलयध्वं वृषमिति तव वाचा मीलिताक्षेषु तेषु वनुदवदहनोऽसौ कुत्र मुञ्जाटवीसा सपति ववृतिरेते हन्त भाण्डीरदेशे.
And the third link for comma okay, the sa.
First time adhe tappu panne.
No, no worries. I think second, now this stanza, both the lines have a plus, so it'll be easy. Jaya Jaya Tava Maya Keyam Isheti Tesham, and then put a plus. Nuti Bhiru Dita Haso, that word comes together. Nuti Bhiru Dita Haso Baddha Nana Vilasaha. So first two lines together. Punarapi Vipinante Pracharaha, put a F, Pracharaf Pataladi, and then put a plus again. Prasava Nikara Matra Grahya Gharmanubhave. So again, 3 and 4 are also together. So if I take a break in between, that's just for the breath, but the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 come together. Okay. Jaya Jaya Tava Maya Keyamisheti Tesham Nutibhiruditahaso Bhaddanana Vilasaha Punarapi Vipinante Pracharaf Pataladi Prasavanikara Matra Grahya Gharmanubhave.
जय जय तव माया केयमीशेति तेषां नुतिभिरुदितहासो बद्धनाना विलासः पुनरपि विपिनान्ते प्राचरः पाटलादिप्रसवनिकरमात्र ग्राह्यगर्मानुभावे जय जय तव माया केयमीशेति तेषां नुतिभिरुदितहासो बद्धनाना विलासः पुनरपि विपिनान्ते प्राचरः पाटलादिप्रसवनिकरमात्र ग्राह्यगर्मानुभावे
जय जय तव माया केयमीशेति तेषां नुतिभिरुदितहासो बद्धनाना विलासः पुनरपि विपिनान्ते प्राचरः पाटलादि प्रसवनिकरमात्र ग्राह्यगर्मानुभावे जय जय तव माया केयमीशेति तेषां नुतिभिरुदितहासो बद्धनाना विलासः पुनरपि विपिनान्ते प्राचरः पाटलादि प्रसवनिकरमात्र ग्राह्यगर्मानुभावे
Twayi Bimukam Ivochais. If you have Ivochaihi, put a is there to join it. Otherwise, Ivochais. Tapa Bharam Bahantam, comma. Tava Bhajana Vadantaha. Is there? Put a F. Vadantaf. Pankam Uchoshayantam or Pankam Uchoshayantam. Tava Bhuja Vadudhanchad. Okay. Vadudhanchad Bhuri Tejaha, put a F there, Tejaf Pravaham, comma, Tapa Samayam Anaishir Yamuneshu Sthaleshu. So just one comma at the end of every line. Twayi Vimukam Ivochais Tapa Bharam Vahantam Tava Bhajana Vadantaf Pankamuchoshayantam Tava Bhuja Vadudanchad Bhuri Tejaf Pravaham Tapasamayamanaishir Yamuneshu Staleshu.
त्वयि विमुखविमोचैस्तापभारं वहन्तं तव भजन वदन्तः पङ्कमुच्चोषयन्तं तव भुज वधुदञ्चद्भूरितेजः प्रवाहं तपसमयमनैषीर्यामुन्नेषु स्थलेषु त्वयि विमुखविमोचैस्तापभारं वहन्तं तव भजन वदन्तः पङ्कमुच्छोषयन्तं तव भुजवदु भूरि तेजः प्रवाहं तपसमयमनैषीर्यामुनेषु स्थलेषु
त्वयि विमुखमिवाच्यैस्तापभारं वहन्तं तव भजन वदन्तः पङ्कमुच्छोषयन्तं तव भुजवदुदञ्च भूरि तेजः प्रवाहं तपसमयमनैषीर्यामुनेषु स्थलेषु.
I'm waiting in the first line la vimukam ivochais. He said something different, but anyway, try it now.
Okay. त्वयि विमुखमिवोच्चैस् நான் சேர்த்து சொன்னேன்.
And that's okay, but I think though or eo ovo something you missed that, but you can say it together, no worries. Yeah.
त्वयि विमुखमिवोच्चैस्तापभारं वहन्तं तव भजन वदन्तः पङ्कमुच्छोषयन्तं तव भुजवदुदञ्च भूरि तेजः प्रवाहं तपसमयमनैषीर्यामुनेषु स्थलेषु.
Tadanu jalada jalais tvad vapus tulya bhabihi. Put a visarga there and a comma. Next line on top of that V, if you have a ir, you can remove that. Vikasa damala vidyut pita vaso vilasaihi. Sakala bhuvana bhajam harshadam varshavelam, comma, kshitidhara kuhareshu swairavasi vyaneishihi.
Sorry, Rajesh, third and fourth or what is சொல்றீங்க?
Sakala bhuvana bhajam harshadam varshavelam, comma, kshitidhara kuhareshu swairavasi vyaneishihi. This is the last few paragraphs, right? So essentially, when Krishna rescues them and they bring back, then they say Jaya Jaya Tava Maya. They all praise Krishna and the kids are all extremely happy and everything. So then essentially what's happening is the next set of paragraphs, essentially they're saying how they are spending their time in Vrindavan, right? So in the summertime, they were just spending the Krishna and the boys and the cows, they were all spending their time along the Yamuna river, right? Because it then keeps them cool. And then when it then gave up, and then the rainy season started coming, which is the stanza 8, then when it starts pouring heavily, then they started going to the various caves, right, which was giving them shelter, right? So they were actually in all the mountains and the caves, they were actually spending their time together, and Krishna was taking care of them. Tadanu jalada jalais twadvapustulya bhabihi vikasadamala vidyut pitavaso vilasaihi sakala bhuvana bhajam harshadam varshavelam kshitidhara kuhareshu swairavasi vyaneishihi.
तदनु जलदजालैस्त्वत्पुस्तुल्यभाभिः विकसदमलविद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकलभुवनभाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधरकुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः तदनु जलदजालैस्त्वत्पुस्तुल्यभाभिः तनुजलतजालैस्त्वत्वपुस्तुल्यभाभिः विकसदमलविद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकलभुवनभाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधरकुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः
तदनु जलदजालैस्त्वद्वपुस्तुल्यभाभिः विकसदमलविद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकलभुवनभाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधरकुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः तदनु जलदजालैस्त्वद्वपुस्तुल्यभाभिः विकसदमलविद्युत्पीतवासो विलासैः सकल भुवन भाजां हर्षदां वर्षवेलां क्षितिधर कुहरेषु स्वैरवासी व्यनैषीः
कुहरतल निविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः कम शिखि कुल नव केका काकुबिहि put is kakubis stotrakaari स्फुट कुटज kadamba stoma pushpanjalim cha pravidhadat anubheje. You can say it either together, pravidhadat anubheje, or if you want to break it, pravidhadat anubheje deva govardhanosau. So here is
Third
just
and fourth continues.
after cha there is a comma at the end of the third line.
Thank you.
So here it's essentially Bhattipatno is saying how when Krishna was in the caves in the Govardhana mountain, he's comparing it to the Lord residing in your heart, in the cavity of your heart, right? So Krishna sitting in the cave in the Govardhana mountain, he's comparing to now Lord, the Paramatma sitting in your heart, right? So he says, just like how you then think and contemplate on the God and meditate, so similarly the Govardhana mountain, the way it was showing its love for Krishna was in the spring season, when the spring and the rain and the spring season now comes, it was actually showering flowers, right? And all the trees that were growing in the Govardhana mountain, they were all showering flowers on the God and then praying to him, because he was also sitting in the cave within the Govardhana mountain. Again, he's just Bhattipad is just comparing here with the Kadamba and the Kutaja, all the other flowers. With that, it is doing the archana to the Lord. Kuharatala nivishtam tvam garishtham girindraha शिकिकुल नवकेका काकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुट कुटज कदम्ब स्तोम पुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रविधदनुभेजे देव गोवर्धनोऽसौ
कुहरतलनिविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः शिखिकुलनवकेका काकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुटकुटजकदम्बस्तोमपुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रविधदतनुभेजे देव गोवर्धनोऽसौ कुहरतलनिविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः शिखिकुलनवकेका काकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुटकुटजकदम्बस्तोमपुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रविधदतनुभेजे देव गोवर्धनोऽसौ
कुहरतलनिविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः शिखिकुलनवकेका काकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुटकुटजकदम्बस्तोमपुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रविददनुभेजे देव गोवर्धनोऽसौ कुहरतलनिविष्टं त्वां गरिष्ठं गिरीन्द्रः शिखिकुलनवकेका काकुभिस्तोत्रकारी स्फुटकुटजकदम्बस्तोमपुष्पाञ्जलिं च प्रविददनुभेजे देव गोवर्धनोऽसौ.
Just one more thing here is just like how we say stotram, the way the flowers were just falling, which were kind of doing the archana, and the stotram that we say is like the peacocks were cooing there because it was the right season. So as the peacocks were walking along the mountains and cooing, it was also singing praises for you. He's saying, Ata sharadam upetam tam bhavat bhakta cheto, and then put a plus. Vimala salila Puram Manayan Kananeshu Trinamamala Vanante Charu Sancharayan Ghaha Pavana Purapate Tvam Dehime Deha Saukyam. So when the spring season then comes, I'm just wrapping it up, when the spring season then comes, then of course there is all these things become green, there's a lot of water flowing around as well. So then you spend all your time grazing the cows and the boys everywhere in all the grasslands of the Vrindavan forest. अत शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् घाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्.
अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् पवनपुरपते त्वां देहि मे देहसौख्यम्.
Last line, tvam. Pavanapurapate
त्वम्.
tvam.
अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् गाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्.
अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् गाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्. अथ शरदमुपेतां तां भवद्भक्तचेतो विमलसलिलपूरां मानयन् काननेषु तृणममलवनान्ते चारु सञ्चारयन् गाः पवनपुरपते त्वं देहि मे देहसौख्यम्.
Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. That completes 58. It's a small chapter. Even 59 is a quick one. So 59 is Venugana Varnanam. So this is talking about how, Krishna, when he was growing up, right, he's probably at this time, what, 6, 7, maybe, because in the Rasa Krida has not yet happened, right? So he's probably in the 6.5, whatever age. So how he's then spending the time with the Gopikas, how he plays the flute and how that, makes everybody happy. So we'll switch here. So I think we said Kalpana and Sriram, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Rajesh.
Yeah. So stanza 1. Twadvapur navakalaya komalam prema dohanamashesha mohanam brahma tattva parachinmudatmakam vikshya sammumuhuranvaham striyah. This is a 2-liner tune all through. So Twadvapur Nava Kalaya Komalam, comma, Prema Dohanam Ashesha, if you want to break it, Dohanam Ashesha Mohanam, Brahma Tattva Parachin Mudatmakam, comma, Vikshya Sammumuhur Anvaham. So on the word, if you want to break it, it becomes Sammumuhur Anvaham. So you can try saying it together. Sammumuhur Anvaham Striyaha. त्वत्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः.
त्वद्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरिचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः.
Kalpana, third line, Parachin. You said Pari, Parachin.
Oh, sorry. त्वद्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरचिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः.
तत्त्वपूर्णवकालय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरसिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः.
The first line, Nava Kalaya.
Kalaya, okay. त्वत्त्वपुर्नवकलाय कोमलं प्रेमदोहनमशेषमोहनं ब्रह्मतत्त्वपरसिन्मुदात्मकं वीक्ष्य सम्मुमुहुरन्वहं स्त्रियः.
Answer 2. Manmathon Matitha Manasaha. Is there put a H on Manasah Kramat. So you'll have 2 its there. So take the first it and then put a comma. Kramat, comma. Second word starts with the second it. Tvad Vilokana Rathas Tatas Tataha Gopikas Tava Na Sehire Hare, comma. Kananopagatim that word, it will come together. Kananopagatim apya harmukhe, if you want to break it. Or you can say it together. Kananopagatim apya harmukhe. So here is saying that Krishna, when you were small, you were like, like that kalaya, like he keeps going to the blue kalaya flowers, right? The blue flower. So you were very soft, right? And you were very fresh, like a blue kalaya flower, that everybody who looked at you, you kind of created an intense bliss in them, intense habit. That's why it says that sachin, right? So you are creating that, intense bliss in their hearts to all the gopikas. And the gopikas were so attached to you that they were always eager to see you. They always wanted to be able to see you and come and meet you like every day. So even the time when you used to leave for the forest in the morning and come back in the evening, they used to miss you when you used to leave even for that one day. So that's how they were missing you so much, and they really absolutely loved you there. Manmathon matitamana kramat twadbinoka naratastatastataha Gopika stavana se hire kananopagatimapya harmukhe.
मन्मथोन्मथितमानसाः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरतास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसे हिरे हरे काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे मन्मथोन्मथितमानसाः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरतास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसे हिरे हरे काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे
मन्मदोन्मदितमानसः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरतास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसे हिरे हरे काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे मन्मदोन्मदितमानसः क्रमात् त्वद्विलोकनरतास्ततस्ततः गोपिकास्तवनसे हिरे हरे काननोपगतिमप्यहर्मुखे.
Shriram, on the first line, manasaha, in the visarga, you put the H on manasah kramat. Okay.
Oh, manmadonmadita manasaha anasaha.
Manasah, H, just a H mato. Manasah.
Oh, manmadonmadita manasah kramat.
Yeah, all of the H and the ha and not just H. Answer 3. Nirgate bhavati datta drishtayaha. Remove that is and put a visarga and a comma. Drishtayaha. Tvad gatena manasa mrigekshanaha. Venu nadam upakarnya durataha. Remove is again, put a visarga and a comma. Durataha. Tvad vilasa katayabhiremire. That can come together. Katayabhiremire. Nirgate bhavati datta drishtayaha twadgatena manasa mrigekshanaha venunadamupakarnya dhurataha twadvilasa katayabhiremire.
निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगेक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गतेन मनसा मृगेक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे
निर्गते भवति तद्दृष्ट्यः.
Sorry, go ahead. Datta double vandirudhu. So
निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गते मनसा मृगेक्षणाः वेणुनादमुपकर्ण्य दूरतः त्वद्विलासकथयाभिरेमिरे निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः त्वद्गते मनसा
twadgatena.
निर्गते भवति दत्तदृष्टयः Dvakkadena manasa mrigekshanaha. Correct, Rajesh?
இல்ல நீங்க மானசா இருந்துருவ. துவத் கதேன மனசா மிருகேக்ஷணாக.
Okay. Okay. Nirgade bhavati datta drishtayah dvakkadena manasa mrigekshanaha. Correct?
Yeah.
Venunadamubakarnya duradaha dvatvilasa gadaya viremire.
Stanza 4. Kananantam itavan or kananantam itavan bhavanapi, comma, snigdha padapa tale. If you want to break it, padapa tale manorame vyatyaya kalita padam astitaha, comma, pratya purayata venu nalikam. So in the previous stanzas, this is mrigekshanaha. Mriga means refers to deer. So aksha means eyes. So mrigekshana means one who are gazelle or deer like eyes, right? So referring to the Gopika women here. So he says when the Gopika women used to see Krishna going, so they used to, when Krishna used to go out to the forest, right? So they used to be standing outside their doors and used to keep looking till Krishna eventually goes out of sight. So till that point, they're all looking at him because they're missing him, like we discussed in the previous stanza. And then once Krishna goes out of sight, then how do they still keep thinking about Krishna, right? So for that, they used to then hear the Venu Nadam. When the music comes from Krishna's flute, they used to be able to hear the music coming from Krishna's flute. Or when even Krishna has gone further away and they're not able to hear that, then when they were working, they used to be constantly talking about Krishna as well. I think for those of you who have done the 76th chapter, right, we kind of Uddhava, when Uddhava comes, right, we discussed, right, how the Gopikas used to be always thinking. So here is kind of describing what actually is happening in stanza 3. And in stanza 4, so I think Vaidehi Karakta, she has put that picture there. So in stanza 4, it talks about, how Krishna, when he used to go to the forest, and then he used to stand under the tree, and then he used to stand cross-legged, and then play the flute. So all the solo pictures of Krishna, which we are seeing with cross-legged and playing the flute, it's kind of, that's exactly what it says here, right? That he used to go and cross his leg and then play the flute, and then all of them used to hear and enjoy it. काननान्तमितवान् भवानपि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्यया कलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयत वेणुनालिकाम्.
काननान्तमितवान् भवानपि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्यया कलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयत वेणुनालिकाम्. काननान्तमितवान् भवानपि स्निग्धपादपतले मनोरमे व्यत्यया कलितपादमास्थितः प्रत्यपूरयत वेणुनालिकाम्.
Rajesh, one doubt. It's Pratyapurayata or Pratyapurayata?
Pratyapurayata.
Okay, I have the Dirgha, yeah.
Okay, just one yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Kananantamidavan bhavanabi snikta padale manorame vyatyaya kalida padamastidaha pratyapurayata venunalika.
The third line, Padam Astitaha, Padamastitaha.
Okay. Kananantamidavan bhavanabi snikta padale manorame vyatyaya kalida padamastidaha pratyapurayada venunalikam.
Mara Bana Dhuta Khechari Kulam, comma, Nirvikara Pashu Pakshi Mandalam Dravanam Cha Drishadhamapi Prabho, comma, Tavakam Vyajani Venu Kujitam. So the music that used to come out of your flute was so melodious and so blissful that anybody who heard it, right, used to absolutely fall in love with it and freeze, including the Pashu and the Pakshi, everything, even the birds and the animals used to stop moving and they used to stay still and listen to you playing the music. And the music was so melodious that could even, he says, it could even melt the stones. So drishadam api. So you can even melt the stones. That's how melodious and nice it was, that everybody used to freeze what they were doing and listen to you play the music. Marabana dhuta khechari kulam nirvikara pashu pakshi mandalam dravanam cha drishadam api prabho tavakam vyajani venu kujitam.
मारबाणधुतखेचरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनिवेणुपूजितम् मारबाणधुतखेचरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं च दृशदामपि प्रभो तावकं व्यजनिवेणुपूजितम्
मारबाणददु केसरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं सदृशदामभिप्रभो दावकं व्यजनिवेणुपूजितम् मारबाणददु केसरीकुलं
Marabana dhuta.
मारबाणददु केसरीकुलं निर्विकारपशुपक्षिमण्डलं द्रावणं सदृशदामभिप्रभो दावकं व्यजनिवेणुपूजितम्
Venu randra taralanguli dalam, comma, tala sanchalita pada pallavam tat stitam tava paroksham apyaho, comma, samvichintya muhuhur brajanganaha. So again, how the gopikas used to like think, or like you said, right, when they can hear the music, they used to hear the music, but when they cannot hear the music, then they used to talk about you and discuss about the activities. But the image that Bhadrapad says that the gopikas used to think about you was exactly that pose, which is the pose of you standing cross-legged, holding the flute in your hand, and then moving your fingers along the flute, and then imagining the music that used to actually come out of it. And that's how they used to actually think about you all the time, and that used to take them to a state of bliss. Then Bhadrapad is saying, so that is again, it's not just for gopikas, it's for everybody, right? If you're thinking, that's one of the things you can think about, that how to think about the Lord, or one image of the Lord you can think about, right? Venurandra taralanguli dhalam tala sanchalita pada pallavam tatstitam tava parokshamapyaho samvichintya muhuhur brajanganaha.
वेणुरन्ध्रतरलाङ्गुलीदलं तालसञ्चलितपादपल्लवं तत्स्थितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो संविचिन्त्य मुमुहुर्व्रजाङ्गनाः वेणुरन्ध्रतरलाङ्गुलीदलं तालसञ्चलितपादपल्लवं तत्स्थितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो तत्स्थितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो संविचिन्त्य मुमुहुर्व्रजाङ्गनाः
वेणुरन्ध्रतरलाङ्गुलीदलं तालसञ्चलितपादपल्लवं तत्स्थितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो संविचिन्त्य मुमुहुर्व्रजाङ्गनाः वेणुरन्ध्रतरलाङ्गुलीदलं तालसञ्चलितपादपल्लवं तत्स्थितं तव परोक्षमप्यहो चन्विसिन्ध्य मुमुहुर्व्रजाङ्गनाः.
Stanza 7.
So Rajesh, over here, second. Mumuhurra, muhuhurra.
Mumuhur.
Mumuhur. Okay, thank you.
Mumuhur. Nirvi Shanka Bhavadanga Darshinihi, comma, Khecharihi, is there, put a H sound, Khechari, Khaga, Mrigan, Pashunapi, Twat Pada, Pranayi, Kananam Chathaha, comma, Dhanya, Dhanyamiti, Nanvamanayan. Again, it's telling the gopikas, not just were they in love with you or thinking about you all the time, but even The Khaga and the Mriga. Khaga is referring to the birds, Mriga referring to all the animals, as well as Pashu, as well as the cows, right? All of these things which come in contact with you. So they used to even like those even more, because everything that comes in contact with you, they used to associate it with you, including, the Kananam, which is the forest, right, which comes in contact with your feet. So all of those they consider divine, and they consider themselves extremely fortunate. Dhanya dhanya miti. They thought they were very fortunate to be able to living with you and then interacting with all these things which are in contact with you or which you come in contact with. Nirvishank bhavadanga darshinihi khechari khagamrigan pashunapi tvatpada pranayikananam chathaha dhanya dhanyamiti nanvamanayan.
निर्विशङ्क भवदङ्गदर्शिनीः केचरीः खगमृगान् पशूनपि त्वत्पदप्रणयिकाननं च ताः धन्य धन्यमिति नन्वमानयन् निर्विशङ्क भवदङ्गदर्शिनीः खेचरीः खगमृगान् पशूनपि त्वत्पदप्रणयिकाननं च ताः धन्य धन्यमिति नन्वमानयन्
निर्विसङ्ग भवदङ्ग निर्विसङ्ग
Shad. Nirvishank.
निर्विशङ्ग भवदङ्ग दर्शिनीः केसरिः खगमृगान् पशूनपि त्वत्पद प्रणयिकाननं सदाः धन्य धन्यमिति नन्वमानयन्.
Even that on the second line, like Pashu and the Sha, in that it's a Sha again.
Pashu, okay. Mrigan Pashu, okay. Nirvishanga bhavadanga darshanihi kesari kahamrigan Pashu nabi tvatpada pranayikananam chadadaha kananam chatadaha.
No, Kananam Chataha.
Tvatpada pranayikananam chadaha dhanya dhanyamidi nanvamanayan.
Actually, ஒரே ஒரு correction. The second line like K Chari and Sa கிடையாது, அது Cha, first Cha. Okay, K Chari.
Okay.
Okay. Api bheyam adharamritam. If you want to break it, or you can say it together. Api bheyam adharamritam kada, comma, venu bhukta rasa shesham ekada durato bata kritam durashayet yakula. You can put a plus there between the third line and the fourth line. So durashayet yakula muhurimaha is there, put a is muhurimas samamuhan. So third and fourth line are together. Apibeyam adharamritam kadha venu bhukta rasa sheshamekada durato batakritam durashayet yakula muhurima samamuhan.
Rajesh, I have a Sampi Beya. Starting is with Sampi Beya. Is it
Okay. Api be first ba beyam adharamritam or api beyam adhara.
Starting letter Api Beya, but then I have it as Sampi Beya.
Oh, okay. Then can you just change it? Nobody told me before in none of the class. I don't know why.
Api Beya.
Yeah.
Okay.
आपिबेयमधरामृतं कदा वेणुभुक्तरसशेषमेकदा दूरतो भतकृतं दुराशयेत्याकुला मुहुरिमा समामुहन् आपिबेयमधरामृतं कदा वेणुभुक्तिरसशेषमेकदा दूरतो भतकृतं दुराशयेत्याकुला मुहुरिमा समामुहन्.
Kalpana, the second line you said Venu Bhukti, right? It's Venu Bhukta.
Okay, Venu Bhukta Rasa Shesham.
Abhibeya madama adaramrudam kada Venu Bhukta Rasa Sheshamekata Durato Badakritam Durasayetyagola Muhirima Samamukan. आबिबेयमदरामृतं कदा वेणुभुक्तरसशेषमेकदा दूरदो बदकृतं दुरासयत्याकुला समामुखन्.
Answer 9. Pratyaham cha punar ittam angana. If you want to break it, you can break it punar ittam angana, or you can say punar ittam angana together. Anyway, manganaha, that ish that you see, if you have it, remove that, put a visarga and a comma. Punar ittam anganaha, comma. Next word, chittayoni janitad anugrahat, or you can say it together, janitad anugrahat. Baddha raga vivashas tvayi prabho, comma, nityam apuriha kritya mudhatham. So here it says the gopikas were so attached to you that it cannot be something that, like anyone who's born is going to be able to get it, right? It has to be something that is actually there as a destiny. And here Bhattacharya says they must have been blessed by Kamadeva. And Kamadeva here, we shouldn't confuse it with the love the way we define it. Love is a very generic word, right? So here it also could mean attachment, moham, or any way you define it. So he says they definitely have the blessings of the Lord, because of which they're so attached that they started, that they were indifferent to any other thing that they were doing, and everywhere they were looking at Krishna and attached to Krishna. Pratyaham cha punarittamanganaha chittayo nijanitadanugrahat baddharaga bivashastvahi prabho nityamapuriha kritya mudhatam.
प्रत्यहं च पुनरित्तमङ्गनाः चित्तयोनिजनितादनुग्रहात् बद्धरागविवशास्त्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूढताम्. प्रत्यहं च पुनरित्तमङ्गनाः चित्तयोनिजनितादनुग्रहात् बद्धरागविवशास्त्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूढताम्.
प्रत्यहञ्च पुनरित्तमङ्गनाः चित्तयोनिजनितादनुग्रहात् पत्तरागविवशास्त्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूढताम्. प्रत्यहञ्च पुनरित्तमङ्गनाः चित्तयोनिजनितादनुग्रहात् पत्तरागविवशास्त्वयि प्रभो नित्यमापुरिह कृत्यमूढताम्.
So this 10th stanza is a slightly different tune. Okay, so you can just put a mark and keep. Ragas tavaj jayate hi swabhavat. Put a it at the end of that line and a comma. Next line, in some books you may have an in. You can remove that in. Moksho payo yatnataha. Put a is sound. Yatnatas syan nava syat. Syan va syat. Tasam tvekam tadvayam labdhamasit, comma, bhagyam bhagyam pahimam marutesha. So he says it's for all human beings. Attachment to either other people or other objects come very naturally, right? So that is all known to us, right? We all have people who we love a lot. We all have things we love a lot as well. However, when he says when you have to get liberated, when you have to attain moksham, you have to then have attachments towards some other things like the Lord, which may not come naturally, right? You have to put effort to actually get into liberation, get into moksham. But the gopikas were so blessed because the thing that they naturally love and naturally are attached to is the same thing that you have to like to get liberated as well. So for them, both of these, the dvayam, that's what he says here, that the tadvayam, the two things is labdham. It's very easily available to them, right? Because they don't have to put any extra effort to now like a set of people and things, and then a separate set of things you have to do to get liberated. For them, both are the same. So he says dhanyam dhanyam. They're indeed very fortunate that they don't have to put any extra effort, and it just whatever they do naturally is also the thing they have to do to get liberated as well. But is saying, so Lord of Guru Ayur, Pahimam, please protect me.
Rajesh, I
Yeah.
have it as Pahi Vadalayesha. So do I need to change it to Pahi
Yeah, I mean, you can change it to Pahi, Mam, me, Marutesha.
Maru?
It's the same thing. So, Ragastavat. Sorry, question is there?
Sorry.
No, sorry.
Last word. எனக்கும் வாதால ஏசா
Yeah,
இருக்கு.
I just change it to, it means the same thing. Vatalayesha, Marutesha, it's all the same thing. Guru Ayurna. So, Pahi, Mam, Marutesha. Because Pahi, Mam, Vatalayesha, that won't fit into that sentence. So, another you have just Vatalayesha. So, just change it to Pahi, Mam, Marutesha.
அது ஏன் இங்க கடைசியில மாருதேஷான்னு வருது
It's a Maru, this is the same thing. The Baru is also referring to the wind. So, another Vayu. So, another Guru Ayu.
குருவாயூர் ஓகே
It's the same thing.
இதுல மட்டும் இந்த இடத்துல மட்டும் மாத்தி சொல்றாரோ
See, sometimes he says Guru, sometimes he says Vayu. Sometimes he says both, right? But it's referring to the same thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Maruta Isha. So that's what is referring to the Lord. So Ragastavad Jayate his Swabhavat Mokshopayo Yatnatasyanna Vasyat Tasam Tvekam Tadvayam Labdhamasit Bhagyam Bhagyam Pahimam Marutesha.
रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्नतस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासाम्. What is the tune for that?
I think you went back to the original tune, Kalpana. This
Yeah,
is
what is
different, right? Ragastavad hi swabhavat. So even I'm switching it.
Is the tune
Mokshopayo yatna tasyan navasyat tasam tvekam tadvayam labdamasit bhagyam bhagyam pahimam marutesha.
रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो
No, I think that's where you're making sense. Mokshopayo yatna tasyan navasyat.
रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्नस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासाम्. I think this third
Second line you're going off to a different one.
रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्नस्यान्न वा स्यात् यत्नतस्, right?
Yeah.
यत्नतस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासां त्वेकं तद्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं भाग्यं पाहि मां मारुतेश. Say it again.
I think your tune is off, but it's okay.
Okay, रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्नतस्यान्न वा स्यात् तासां त्वेकं तद्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं भाग्यं पाहि मां मारुतेश. I'll practice the tune.
That's okay. I'll say one more time. So Sriram Ragastavad hi swabhavat mokshopayo yatnatasyan navasyat tasam tvekam tadvayam labdhamasit bhagyam bhagyam pahimam marutesha.
रागस्त्वाज्जायते
Tavajjayate.
रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् रागस्तावज्जायते हि
Swabhavat.
रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षोपायो यत्नदस्यान्तन वा स्यात् तासान्दवेगं तत्त्वयं लब्धमासीत् भाग्यं भाग्यं पाहि मां मारुदेशः. मारुदेश. Okay. रागस्तावज्जायते हि स्वभावात् मोक्षो भायो यत्नदस्यान्तन वा स्यात्.
And sorry, oh, second. Syan, you're putting a tha there. Yatna syan vasyat. Syan na, double na varudhu, in and a na, syanna vasyat.
Yatnada syanna
Syanna vasyat.
Okay. Ragas davat jayate hi swapavat moksho bhayo yatnada syantna vasyat tasan vegam tattvayam laptamashit bhagyam bhagyam bhakimam marudesha.
Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Somehow this stanza felt, you all found it little tough to go through it. Anyway, we'll finish it here.
I'll practice the last verse.
Yeah. No
You
worries.
assigned it to me, right? So I have
Yeah. Sandhanandhavabodhatmakamanupamitam kaladeshavadibhyam nirmuktam nityamuktam nigamashatasahasrena nirbhasyamanam aspashtam drishtamatre punarurupurusharthatmakam brahmatattvam tattavad bhati sakshat gurupavanapure hanta bhagyam jananam काहेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Then with Krishna's blessings, we are able to complete 75 chapters. That is the people who are continuing from the beginning, right? Ramesh and Vijay and Sangeeta, Jayashree and other Sangeeta, Sri Vidya, everybody. So correct, that was the original plan, was to see if we can finish 75 before the Parayanam. I think we exactly completed 75 today. So, all right. So we'll see you next Saturday then.
அடுத்த Sunday class இருக்கா?
Other Sunday class illa. We will take a break. I think most of us would have lost our voice after 7-8 hours of Parayanam. So we'll take a break next Sunday.
You would have definitely lost your voice after.
எனக்கு பயமா இருக்கு because my daughter fell sick 2 days, but she just had some sore throat in it. She recovered, so now I'm afraid that I'm going to get it next correctly in time to do so. Anyways, okay. See you all next weekend. Bye.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thanks.
Bye everyone.
See you.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Bye.